Today is Monday, September the 28th, 2020. This is the Service Hero Show, 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. My name is Tamara Hunter, and I am your host. This is the show that shares the inspiring stories of those that are inspiring others. So let's do this. We have a very special show, and I'm going to introduce our service hero in a unique way. It is fitting because this service hero is truly what I would say unique. He has been, when I met him and I heard his story, it was one of those stories that I thought, I want to get that novel. Almost one of those stories that you think, is this real? And as I have gotten to know our service hero, I can vouch for the fact that yes, his inspiring story is truly real. So instead of me sharing and going into it, I am going to actually share a clip.
Dr. Freddy Behn is a modern-day Renaissance man, an international competitive gymnast, turned compassionate doctor, creative software developer, musician, and a successful entrepreneur. He is an international speaker, #1 best-selling author, and a peak performance life and business coach. Freddy also donates his time, money, and surgical skills to change lives around the world. His mission is to make a difference as he saves and transforms lives. Freddy operates from the heart and is an inspirer and sculptor of souls. Freddy's expertise and signature system has been guiding top business leaders and professionals to higher levels of success and fulfillment. As a masterful coach alongside organizations like Tony Robbins, Freddy has helped thousands of individuals all over the world to take their emotions, health, finances, business, and relationships to the next level. His message and lifestyle is clear that you can have it all by simply being systematic, following a formula to create sustainable success in all aspects of your life. Please help me welcome Dr. Freddy Behn.
Yes. Oh, I want to be dancing too, Freddy. I absolutely love that. In fact, thank you for letting me share that out today because it's so much fun. And right now, more than ever, I don't know. That's why I'm dating these shows more than ever. We need a little bit of that get up and fun, that energy, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Tamara, for having me here.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for being the service hero that you are. I know, guys, that was more of a traditional overview. However, let me just tell you, and I've made reference to this in the past too, and that is the more that someone is a service hero, the more that they are humble about being a service hero. And Dr. Freddy Behn is one of them. And so I promised to share in a way that would be real. And there is so much to be real about and not overblow it. And so doing it this way was a real safe way to make sure that I got the story in, because your story truly, when I said that I wanted to read the book, Freddy, and I know you have the one book, but I want to read your life story book, because your life story is one that I keep saying truly because it does. It inspires me, and I know so many others too. So let's dive into it, okay?
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna go for it. I'm so excited. I have the permission. Thank you. All right, you were born in a whole nother country in a whole nother time, and yet you look, you're not all that old. So let's go there. You were living in Iran before when it was a whole different feel, right? A whole
That's right.
different place.
That's right.
You were born into what you would almost call royalty in a way. I mean,
Uh-huh.
you talk about that, and that's one of the images that I remember about your story. You talk about here you go from you're like the little prince, if you will, with the cars and the servants and the chauffeurs and on, and then political change, a lot of things happen, and you and your family are trying to leave, and then life changes. Let's start there. Let's go there.
I know.
Where were you, and how did that whole experience happen? Because it was one particular experience that changed everything, right? I'm thinking at the airport.
Oh, you want the airport story? Sure.
I'm giving you a clue because I know you've got so many. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one that I really think about as a mom. I'm thinking
Yeah,
about your mom. I'm thinking about all of the people that have had similar experiences.
that's right. So, yeah, I did grow up like a prince, and I did have the butlers and drivers and all the great stuff. And the funny part is, you're oblivious. You have no idea that there is anything but that standard to live by, and
Mhm.
so you just live. And the same actually is true for people that are a little bit underprivileged. They believe that's the standard of life. They can't, unless they can think or see something beyond that. So everything I say, it's the reverse is absolutely true as well. So yeah, I was living my life. I would point and I would get it, or my servant would get it. And single only child, I was the first male of the first male of the family, which is the prince of the prince. And I literally could run the world if I wanted to. I was getting away with murder practically as a young kid, and I had a big mouth going on back then. It was. So you talk about humility. I don't think that existed back then at all, because I was getting everything I wanted until that one day where it hit me. I was like, and everything was stripped away. And all of a sudden, a new reality hits that life is different and old Freddy no longer exists. And you got to either adapt or, just sink with the ship. And that's where the story got interesting. Both of my parents were high officials back at home. And, we ended up in a, political war with the neighboring countries. And I don't want to get into politics at all, but for that reason, they were using younger kids to start going to military and being trained with, armed forces, and so they can put them into the front lines, because I think over 2 million individuals actually perished in this war, and so most of the men were, gone, and they needed more people, so they kept going younger and younger, and I believe the youngest that I know of was 13, that was actually holding a gun, and actually shooting in the front line. So my parents obviously, like, there's no way we're gonna have Freddy go on front lines and start shooting people. And and the reality hit us when I came home all excited. I remember back in the day, the movie Rambo had just come out, and it was in the 80s, right? And I was very excited. I'm like, Mom, I got to hold this massive gun at the school. And she goes, what did you do? I'm like, I was holding this gun and they were showing us how to shoot it there. She's like, what? And so that's how they were introducing stuff. And she freaked out and she's like, talk to my dad, obviously. And they're like, okay, this is getting serious. We need to get him out of here. And, most of my family was in the United States, and my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, and they've lived here for decades, and they had businesses, gone to school here. So it was a no-brainer. We'll come to the United States. It shouldn't be a problem. And so my mom started the application process, and, long story short, legally, we left the country, and we were on a plane and there was no direct flight, obviously, to US. We had to stop at the neighboring country, and the country of choice for us at that point was Germany. And so we stopped at that at that airport to switch the planes. And at some point, we end up being halted at the last section where we have to show the passport to come to U.S. And the gentleman at the immigration section says something to my mom, and of course I don't understand any other language but Persian at that point. And so I have no idea what they're saying. I'm just amazed by this new airport, and everything is different. There's a bunch of blonde people, you know, a bunch of like tall people, candy store, and I was all excited. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna go shopping. And so I was really excited. I had no idea until I hear my mom's voice kind of go up, and there is this heated argument between the immigration guy and my mom, kind of shoving these paperwork to this guy's face. And finally she kneels down to me and goes, I can't take you with me. I'm like, okay. And again, keep in mind, as someone who is enough, this is a key word, I was more than enough. I had zero emotional issues, zero identity issues. I was the king of the world. I could conquer whatever I wanted. So I was enough. Mm-hmm. And so when she said, I can't take you with me, I'm like, bring it on, no problem. Like, I didn't even think ahead. And she, to make the story short, I ended up, you know, leaving with a friend of my uncle's who lives in San Diego, and he called up and he says, I know someone in Hamburg, and he can come pick Freddy up until you come and figure out the paperwork, how we can get him over here. And at that point, you know, my mom gave me some warm clothes because we were packed for California. We weren't packed for, you know, cold Germany, and repacks my little suitcase, and off I go to the other side where this gentleman kind of waves me down. He's like, come over here, and I go over there, and then he picks me up at the other side of the exit. And that's when my life changed and started. First day. Yeah.
You know, even right now, I'm holding back the tears because, you know, I'm thinking about how, you know, everything's upside down, and here you and your mother, you know, and now that I've gotten to hear a little bit more of that story, you know, it's like, I go there and I'm thinking about your mom. I'm thinking about you as the young prince, and yeah, you're enough, and okay, yeah, adventure and everything. You had no clue. She had every single clue going on, and she had to make a very tough choice. And she made a choice for life. She made a choice for you to continue. And here, you didn't know this gentleman. And the story goes on, and we have a lot more to talk about. But the story that really inspires me of your story is you talk so fondly about this gentleman after but it was a reality. It was a hard reality check. And I do want to go there because it's going to take us where we're going in the long run. And the reality check, and what I remember in the story, is that here you're the young prince. Everything is at your basically command, and you knew how to command it. You had that personality. There's that smile. And here's a gentleman that's humble, and he had basically nothing.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that. However, when you get there, though, you find this out, and then you're here for a while, and you're there for a long while. And
yes, it starts off with the airport, I guess. You know, first thing I noticed was we're walking towards the car. There is no limo or anything waiting at the, you know, at the front gate. I'm like, okay, well, maybe the parkings are different here. I don't know. So that was the first thing. Second thing was he's driving himself instead of a driver. I'm like, okay. Third thing was, well, the car is kind of not, you know, the most, you know, fanciest car. I'm like, okay, maybe his car is in the shop or something. And the next thing is we get to the apartment. I'm like, where's the gate? Where's the doorman? Like, slowly things are cascading. And then I realized we're going into this 1-bedroom apartment that has one literal bed and one couch. And he tells me, you'll take the bedroom. I'll be sleeping on the couch. And I thought, I mean, you said my mom knew what's happening. My mom didn't, actually. She thought she was going to be back within a week to 10 days to figure this out. So none of us thought, but we all thought this was a temporary situation until she wasn't able to come pick me up because she had to go back home. And at that point, they were not allowed to leave the country anymore. And, you know, we had financial issues at that point because the banks were frozen, and, you know, so everything crumbled. and I was stuck. The only place I could have stayed was with this guy, and so I was stuck there by force. I couldn't go anywhere else. I couldn't go back. I couldn't go forward. This guy was available, and he was, you know, he allowed me to stay in his life. And ironically, he had lost his family about 6 months prior to me arriving. He had gone bankrupt. He had lost his wife and his son. That they just left him, and they came to US. They just abandoned this poor guy. And so I show up to his life as another guy that's gonna need a piece of his bread, you know, and he has nothing. And I believe that his influence in my life is the reason why I am who I am, because of the lessons he taught me away from all the wealth and financial things and just pointing and getting versus gaining, you know, respect versus, you know, gaining your trust, gaining the skill sets. Like everything had to be gained from zero. And the beauty of this whole story is, again, you're kind of thinking like, okay, I can wing this, until you realize you can't wing this. Just because you were someone somewhere else, here, not only you're a foreigner, you look different, you're dark, everybody else is blonde, blue eyes, you're a foot shorter than people your own age, you know, and everything, and you can't even, you know, communicate with anyone. You can't say, I mean, one of the stories that I remember is, you know, in Germany, everything is indoors because it's so cold. So indoor swimming pool, which, you know, back at home, there's only like these Olympic training centers that have indoor swimming. Everything else is outdoors, kind of like California as well. And so I'm indoors and I'm looking at this, and the gentleman wanted me to kind of get used to the country a little bit. So this was the first few weeks. So he signed me up. I went to the swimming pool and I'm swimming, and I never forget this. This guy wanted to communicate with me. I guess he's like, okay, cool guy. I want to, like, you know, hang out with him or something. He came and said something, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying in German. And that emotional, like, embarrassment, like I can't even communicate, you know, at 9 years of age, you know, with someone in a swimming pool, whereas kids always get along and do stuff, was the first hit that I had to take. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot communicate. And, you know, when you're listening to music and you have an emotional impact, that music anchors itself. There is an anchor point. And I never forget that it was Stevie Wonder song. I just called to say I love I remember that song. That was word of mouth. That's the only thing I could remember from that swimming pool. But yeah, things started slowly cascading to the point where I realized I am not enough. And that caused me to become who I've become by achieving and achieving and achieving, so I can, you know, be enough per se.
Exactly. And I want everybody to know that thank you for your comments. And we're hearing, I don't know if you saw, but we've got Eric in the house, Mr. Awesome himself. You are an awesome inspiration.
Eric.
Love it, Eric. Love it.
Eric.
And Carol Bettersons, one of our senior ambassadors, is saying, Dr. Freddy, love your smile and energy. And then one of our other senior ambassadors, Sherry McQueen, saying, Dr. Freddy, such radiating love from you, even while telling your journey that is pulling at our heartstrings. And Kat Dawn, love you, Kat. So glad you're here with us. Just wanted to pop in and say, I love you, Tamara. Love you too, and hope you are feeling better. Well, thank you very much. You know, I am going to, the reason I wanted to share this part of your story, Freddy, is because you are on the Service Hero Show. And the Service Hero Show is an inspiring, it has inspiring stories that inspire others. And I don't know that you truly understand how many people you have inspired. And so I'd like to share something with you right now, and then we'll be right back.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Taylor, and I'm here to say that Freddy Behn is a service hero. His story is so unique, from the way that he got here to the United States and the accolades that he's had in his business and professional career, becoming a doctor, an inventor, an author, a speaker. He's beyond incredible. And the way that he serves his people, his community, his followers, and everybody that he meets is remarkable. Thank you so much.
I was visiting with Nicole,
Wow.
and she and I were talking, and I said, yes, I'm going to have you on. And she said the same thing that I had said to you, and that is that I remember when I first met you, and then I remember when I was on the red carpet, and you took the time to let me interview you on the night of the Oscars at the after party at City Summit, and that meant a lot to me. It really did. And then when I was talking to Nicole, she's like, yeah, whenever you were, because she does a lot with events, event planning all over the United States. And whenever you were on any of the stages or any of the panels that she was working with, she said that you were always one of the ones that was the kindest and just really great to work with. And so, a little hello from Nicole, and that was her little guy in the background. She's like, "Don't worry, I'm a mom now, so there's a little bit clicking." And I thought, "Oh no, he'll love that, I'm sure." How did
Thank
that
you. Thank
feel?
you. That was amazing. That was amazing. Look, being humble is a choice, and that's, I think, my athletic background that I've brought to life in other areas of my life. As an athlete, you either have the cocky, oh wow, the cocky guy that is full of himself and eventually gets his butt beaten, or the guy that actually helps others become as good as them. And I always wanted to be the champion that wins something and goes and congratulates the people that didn't win, and find something good about what they have done, so they feel good about themselves, so they don't feel like everything is lost, because some champions emotionally lose it. And more importantly, I wanted to be the one that gave it all but lost, and took the loss, even though everybody in the room knew that I won, but I didn't get the score, and still had the dignity to go and congratulate the champion and say, you know what, you kicked my butt, great job. Hopefully I'll get you next time. I believe that emotional stability to be able to run with whatever punches you got is very vital. And I think, when you have a internal conflict, that's when you become this prick, this arrogant person that's on, whatever stage you're on, whether it's stage or in business or anywhere else. I believe that's the key to connecting with people, because you don't know what's going on. And, kindness is you just calming the fuck down, and being the best of you and sharing that with people. And it's not something that you have to learn, or we have it naturally. It's just, don't be full of yourself. And this is how I look at this stuff. People ask for anything, I'm always willing to give, and I'm always, open to conversations. I never think of myself as, the superhero that you were talking about, because I'm living it, so it doesn't feel that way. But I believe everyone needs a little piece of this, and this is one of the issues that we end up, not paying attention to. Not being humble. And I've done that throughout medical school, throughout my championship, throughout my businesses, on stage, as you've mentioned. It's part of being a good human being. And all of us need a little bit of that, if we can just put our egos aside and remember that everyone has a story. Everyone has some pain that they're dealing with. And they might not share it, even though they may have a big smile on their face. They might not be sharing it. And they might just need you for that one moment to pick them up.
Absolutely. Well said. And then right now, more than ever, in what's happening in this world, we all need to be there for each other and be there to pick each other up. You were talking about,
Where did you get all these photos?
I have fun. So you are all about being a good sport, if you will. I mean, let's just be, as my grandmother would say, that Freddy, he's a good sport. And she would mean it in that way, in a very loving way. He's a good sport. And you then decide that you're going to take this and you're going to start working with our youth. And you open up. I mean, you are an entrepreneur. Everything in that clip, people, 10x, 100x. That clip is as amazing as it is very humble compared to what it is that he's really all about. And you're serving our youth. I want to go on, and then you have also, I'm going to show here, you've also, because then you go in and you're in gymnastics, then do you become a doctor first, or do you go into the computer lab, or you're doing all of that at the same time, right? It's all kind of
I love this
simul-
question. Everyone thinks life has to happen sequentially, and that's wrong. Actually, there is no reason why things should be sequentially. You need to be doing things, in a
right.
vertical, and horizontal manner. It just, I did them all at the same time. While I
Yeah.
was in med school, I actually was running my business remotely, and while I was running my business, I was inventing shit, and
I love it.
it's just everything at the same time, and I truly believe, and this is, I think, the gift that I have, that I share with my clients when I'm coaching them, regardless of what environment they're in and which field they're in, is that the more tools you have on your belt, the better you become as an individual in whatever field you choose. So me being a doctor, as a matter of fact, this last weekend, I was at one of my best friend's homes, and I saw his backyard. I'm like, dude, you know what you need? He's like, what? I'm like, you need a waterfall. And he's like, okay. And I spent the last 3 days building him a waterfall with concrete, with like, all of that skill that goes into that. For me, acting as a contractor, some of that comes from medicine, the plumbing, the way the pressure needs to be distributed to all the tanks so they have the same flow, the opening, all of that is medicine. It's cardiology, and it's every skill you have is a good skill. And most importantly, if you bring a skill from a different field to that field, that makes you unique. Because most people, like, even if we talk about doctors, most doctors have one-sided mindset. Most of them that I coach have a massive lack in financial knowledge, massive lack in emotional knowledge. They're amazing at what they do as a doctor, but they're not able to deal with their marriage. They're not able to deal with themselves or with their patients, even to the point where they hate their job. Whereas if you can make a small shift in their mindset from a different perspective, all of a sudden their life becomes better. So I truly believe this like multi-dimensional thing shouldn't be unique to me. I don't know why I did it that way. I'm just too ADD and too inspired to learn about new things. But I believe everyone needs that. And I think, when you box yourself into that one specific title and identity, you're cheating yourself. Why not do it all at the same time and fail a bunch of times? Great.
I love you. I tell you, because because there's a few of us that are doing a lot of things all at once, and many people want to say, now let's focus here. We need you to focus, and to say, I can say, well, let me play this clip. Thank you. Because it is true, when we feel inspired to do something, or a door opens up for us to walk through to make a difference, and we really don't have the time to get into it, but you talk in some of your presentations, because I've been to many of them now, is that you do give the idea of how this presented itself, how the lab presented itself for the computer situation, how this presented itself for that. And you walked in there, and then you figured it out. It was like, okay, I can figure this out, like what you were just talking about with the waterfall.
Yeah.
I love that. Is that the picture that I think there was a picture of you with a pick fork. I didn't grab it, but that you were in or that might have been another time, but you were in a ditch and getting the dirt. And I'm thinking, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my charity work, where I was building a school for underprivileged kids, and physically building it, not just paying for it, physically building it. I mean, if you look at my hands now, today I've come 3 days post being a contractor. It's all like damaged, and it's not a surgical hand. And I love that about me, that I can get dirty and do something that is completely off, and come back and do something so finesse and so fine. Why not? Who says that you can't? And that's where, when you're talking about the humility, that's why, because I am not just that. And so what if I am that? I just, you do the same thing I've done. At the worst case scenario, you'll spend twice the time, but you'll get where I've gotten. So it's not a big deal. I mean, you're saying, all this great stuff to me because I live it. It's really nothing. And I don't believe and the biggest danger, like I said, with athletics is when you believe your own shit, when you believe that you're the shit. That's when you get that punch coming from where you didn't expect it. And I'm very aware of that all the time. I've been, constantly that way. I actually see one of my old classmates, Amir from medical school. He actually commented here as well, and he can probably vouch for that as well. He, when I was in med school, most people didn't even know I was running a business back home with over 40 employees, and most people were screwing around. And again, my humility in med school was the same, and because of that, because I wasn't like the big peacock per se, people would take you for granted. They kind of like fall, and this is in my opinion, that's the key to success, when you're not fully exposing, and then when it's necessary, boom, you come out of nowhere, and they're like, where did that happen? And so I think it's a little athletics is really important for people, even if you're like, oh, I've never been athletic in my life. That's exactly the reason why you need to go get punched in the face a couple of times, because then it kind of like, it's good for you. It's important that you understand that it's not always about winning, and it's not always about, if there is anything I learned, and I mentioned this, is me working my butt off, working hard, going to a competition, really, truly by distance winning, but the judges didn't think so. And being able to walk away with a smile on my face and still congratulate the other people and go to the judge and say, I know you screwed me, but thank you very much for being there. Still having that. And when you're talking about sportsmanship, I think people don't understand what that really means. There is one quote that my dad mentioned to me a long time ago, and it did not click until I was more of a mature athlete. And he told me, a true athlete, a true champion will never show their emotion, whether they win or lose. And I never understood what that means. And you can see that like in the Olympics or the World Championships, people win, all of a sudden they're like all excited and they're jumping up and down, high-fiving each other. They're truly too excited. And really the meaning of that is not just excitement. It's like, I am surprised that I won. That's how I look at it. If you truly knew you were going to win, you'll be chill. You'll be like, yeah, I knew that was coming. And the same goes when you lose. When you've lost that competition, people end up in tears. They're all disappointed. And no, there was a reason why you lost. Maybe that one day that you should have gone to training, you chose to hang out with your friends, or whatever, bad food you should not have eaten, or whatever it was. So don't be disappointed, because you know exactly what caused the other guy to win. So emotions are really the key. And when I work with the clients, this is literally what I work with. It's the entire you. Why is it that you succeed somewhere? Why is it that you don't succeed? And what are those little minute stuff that would punch you in the face if you don't pay attention to it? And you can't ignore those.
No, you can't. And and right now, again, with sharing your story right now, I want to make this very clear, everybody, that this is to inspire you. I'm feeling very grateful that Freddy's here with us sharing his story, because right now I do believe there's many people out there that need to have the inspiration, and that we have this ability to get the story out there through this medium. I'm grateful to be here right now, because there's a lot of people that are struggling, and I looked at this. I studied it a little bit more, and I'm like, be bold, take a risk. Love it, love it, love it. And then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you gotta really be confident that you're not going to be going off to one side or the other, that you can, because that could be a trouble. And then it was backed up with this one. I'm like,
this is a funny story. We had a week of a reality TV show. I was a coach on a reality TV show that was helping these guys do some crazy stuff. So when they had the emotional breakdown, I would help them out and, work with them. So we're having a fun day walking around this Grand Canyon stuff. And everyone stands there and, they're posing and they're taking a photo. I'm like, Freddy doesn't just do what everybody else does. So I'm like, okay, dude, I'm gonna do a handstand. If I fall down, keep shooting, okay? Like, so that's what I did. I'm like, I'm not just gonna stand there and pose like everybody else. There's a million of those photos out there. But who can do a handstand at the ledge right there? And quite frankly, I don't even know if after that jump, I wasn't sure if that thing was gonna crack or something. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. And thank goodness it didn't, because I mean, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, oh. And we have one like that. And well, you're in the Southern California area, in Poway, they had the potato chip rock. A lot of people go out there and do things, and you are always hearing about, they needed to be like rescued from it. So I'm going to go on to this next one here, because this is your book. Okay, so nobody has an idea what is going on with you in your life. You will only be rewarded for the outcome you produce, and living possible dreams, not impossible. You cross that out.
Actually, it is impossible. Because if it's a possible dream, then it's not that exciting. But if it's an impossibility, everyone tells you it's impossible. As a matter of fact, if it's scientifically proven it's impossible, that's when it's worth it.
I love that. Oh, see, I'm the one that needed to be inspired by your stories today. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
And by the way, that quote that you just said, it's a very important quote that I think everyone needs to kind of take to heart, because like one of the key aspects that I've learned being a champion gymnast is when you salute and you're starting a performance, the audience, the judges, they don't care if a week ago you pulled a muscle, or you fell down, or you haven't slept because someone was sick and you were in a hospital, or you were throwing up. They don't give a crap about any of that. You salute, they judge you based on what you perform and what outcome you're producing. So, and that's the key to life. We think just because we have an excuse, we should get a pat on our shoulder. That doesn't happen in championships. You only get rewarded for what you're producing. And that is 100% true in life. Think about it. If you've gone to restaurants that you've loved for years, all it takes is for them to screw it up one time, boom, you're done, right? And you're like, you've never written a review, but now you're gonna write a review, And it's the fact of the matter is, you only get rewarded for that outcome that you produce. And if we all understand that, we realize why we should not dabble with things. And you said about everything that I do, I go really deep into it, is because I don't want to be that dabbler. I want to be the expert in all of them. And that is really important. It's important that you're producing the outcome on a consistent basis and at the highest quality.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect timing for my next little guest that's going to come on and say something to you. Let's do this one.
Hey, this is Bill Walsh coming to live from Chicago. I just wanted to give a quick heads up about this amazing speaker, trainer, mentor, Dr. Freddy Behn. He's an all-star. He's someone that goes way beyond the distance, always over-delivers, and a good friend. So if you're looking for a great speaker, a coach, a trainer on leadership, on what it takes to go the extra mile and really win big, there's no doubt if you get to work with Freddy at any level, I highly recommend it. So congratulations, Freddy. Keep up the great work. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye for now.
You talk about someone that, international, like, one of the top out there. And he's saying it, you show up, you go deep, and that's what, I mean, anybody that knows Bill Walsh, the CEO and founder of Power Team International, knows that that's what he's all about. And, he was like, I want to get that over here and say congratulations to him for being on the show today. And, a lot of people really do. They are inspired by you, just like what Carol just said. And I want to go into that a little bit more. Let's see. I needed to hear your inspiration today. I needed to hear this today. And I have a feeling that there's a lot of people that are going to be saying the very same thing. He does, doesn't he? He does. And oh, Martine, good to see you, Martine. Yes, he is. He is amazing. So you, a doctor, a gymnast. We didn't even go into the fact that you created like this computer. You have patents, right? It's like it's a real deal.
I got shortchanged on the patent part. Somebody else
Oh,
took the
okay.
money.
Oh,
That's
okay.
because I was young and stupid when I was doing that. But nevertheless, the experience was incredible. Yeah, I was when I was at UCLA, I did work on a research program that was working on the artificial intelligence pacemaker in the heart, and they did have a challenge, and the challenge was solved because of me being an athlete and very I want to say thick-headed, not to accept the outcome, and being stubborn on solving it, especially because one of the experts says there's no way you can solve it, you're just a freshman. And that was the key word I needed to be able to crack that code. And because of that one word he said, or one sentence, I made sure that he no longer has a job. And I know as a young kid, that was probably a harsh way of solving the problem, but if you challenge someone that is competitive and he wants to do it the right way without cheating out, that's what you get, which, in the long run, that's what business is about. You challenge each other, you make each other better. If there is two restaurants next to each other, one is producing better quality. If you don't step it up, you will perish. And that's really what competition is about, me causing you to become a better version of you. And that's really what the understanding needs to be. We shouldn't be upset that someone's competing with us. We should be excited, like they're now causing me to be at the next level, which is awesome. So, that's what I did. I spent 5 years doing that work on the software, and believe it or not, I talk about that concept that I learned within that software in my speeches about human interaction, which is incredible. Again, drawing parallels from different topics is the tools on your belt that I'm talking about. That if had I not done that research, I would not have that understanding of how we connect, as human beings with positive and negative charges per se.
And that's fascinating when you think of it. AI and a machine that is going to go into our heart. I mean, you can spin off all day onto that one.
Hopefully it's not this big like you're saying it. It's very tiny, but
a little tiny thing. Okay, little tiny thing. And where you are where you are because of the decisions that you've made in past life, made in your life. And you think about even like that, the decisions that you have made, they have taken you so, I would say many of us would say far. However, they've taken you on the journeys that you have been, you just dive deep into each one of these opportunities. And I love that. And next one, let's see, I'm going to bring the next one up here because I had fun finding your stuff. I love this one. I just had to throw it in. Sometimes you just have to force that smile. Yeah, sometimes we feel that way, right?
And for the sake of transparency, and I'm always transparent with, I hate it when people, and hate is a bad word, but I want to use it here because it's really, I feel really strongly about this. We don't post anything on social media that's real. A lot of times it's very, adjusted. And that photo was taken on a day that I definitely did not want to smile. I had no reason to smile. And as a matter of fact, I was emotionally not feeling very empowered. And when this happened and the doctor put that in my mouth, I'm like, the universe is forcing me to smile. And I just posted that because that was real. It was real. And, we do need a reason to find on a daily basis to smile. And if we don't, I think we're cheating ourselves. It's not only important that we smile, but, be the reason of somebody else. There's another post, I don't know if you found that, but you need to be the reason of somebody else smiling. And if for people that know me on a personal level, I'm the goofiest guy. It's impossible to be around me in personal life, like on private grounds to not laugh. I will surprise you, and you know, it's important. Laughter is really key to good emotional health.
Absolutely. In fact, in our buddies program with the nonprofit, we will ask each other, you know, have you had your daily dose of laughter today? And, you know, and we're dealing with people that are affected by cancer. And so, you know, it's like, okay. And one person that came originally, she's like, we don't laugh, do we? I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. If you haven't been, we need to start. We need to get you started. So yeah, I will say, I'm going to go forward with one. Oh, wait, I went too far, but there was one where it was socially distancing and you're on the beach and you're like by the ocean. And I love that. It's like tongue in cheek. I absolutely love that. You right now are at a place that I know that we actually were going to have you. There was a couple of different jogs with the schedule and I ended up kind of adjusting things because you needed to go down to an area where you have some businesses and you needed to take care of them because of what is happening in the environment in our business culture right now. Mm-hmm. And that is where many people are right at this very moment. And with your kind of way of thinking, I bet they would love to hear what your thought process is in regards to what is happening out there right now.
Again, I'm going to bring up the gymnastics part and everyone's going to think, wow, we got to go become a gymnast. But the concept here is, you know, because there is short wins and short events in a sport, you get a lot of lessons. In business, we just think of the whole thing as one event. And that's not true. In business, you have short bursts of accomplishments and setbacks, just like with championships. So this is the thing. And you've heard this probably on stage when I've spoken about this. You know, we look at a gymnast perform at the high level, they do something and boom, it's perfect. And you're looking at it as like, that routine was flawless, it was perfect. And you ask the gymnast, was that one of the best routines you've ever done? And I guarantee you to find one gymnast to say, yeah, that was her perfect routine. It never exists. We, as gymnasts, never perform a perfect routine. Perfect would mean I do my flip and I, boom, land exactly where I'm supposed to with no adjustments. The key here is, what do I have to do while I'm in the air so the landing turns perfect? So when I go up, I'm either too high or too low. So I have to adjust for that before I land. That's a split-second decision. Or I'm going too fast, I need to kick out so I don't over-rotate, or I'm too slow and I need to make myself smaller so I can rotate that little bit while I have the time. So the point is, do I have the skill set to make the adjustments when the adjustment is needed? Okay, and that applies to business. Those people that ran their business without the skill sets that they needed, and they had a smooth ride going up, when this hiccup hit, they perished. A lot of businesses went out. I got several phone calls during this pandemic that gyms were going out of business, and they called me and they wanted me to purchase them. And I helped a bunch of them out, and I got new equipment from some of them that were going out of business because they did not plan. They did not only they didn't plan, they didn't have the skill sets to deal with what's happening. So this is the thing. I keep talking about tool sets. You gotta have tools on your belt, because you don't know when that screwdriver is necessary. You don't know when that hammer is necessary. Have it there, have it available, because when it's necessary, you need to be able to pull it out. So, and that's what it is with my businesses. Just like everybody else, we hit cash flow issues, we hit employee issues, we hit, health department issues. We have a lot of issues. So how do you deal with that? And that's the key. That's the key. And that's what I was trying to solve with one of my businesses that's in San Diego, which is a restaurant. And we have a food truck as well over there. And the concept here is, do we want to stay in a brick and mortar environment, or do we want to partner with a bunch of other places? And that's what I was doing this time. And I think my business model has to shift, because that's what's necessary at this point. Why be stuck in one area when I can be part of a bunch of other entities and not only thrive, but change. And change is required. Is now we're at the point where I've over-rotated and I need to do something so I can land correctly. And I think those are the skill sets of a CEO that are necessary. If you don't have it, then you're just lucky. If you've never experienced cash flow issues in your business, you have no idea how to fix it. But if you've experienced it, now you've built that muscle. So next time it happens, you don't panic. Same happens with stock market. First dip happens, everyone freaks out, sells their stuff, or whatever. But if you're a seasoned investor, you understand that for every dip there is another up, and hopefully you've made the right choices of what you've purchased, instead of like, oh my God, my cousin told me to buy this and I'm buying it. So
Right.
hopefully you haven't done that. You've actually looked at the financial statements of all of those companies before you've made your purchase. So no matter what the dip is, you're cool. You just hang in there.
And I want to, because we really didn't get deep into it, and I want to also, because this is Service Hero Show again, and what you have done with being wise with your finances and with your education and with who you are, you've been able to go internationally. We showed the Philippines, and you were able to go to the Philippines, and you've gone on a couple of different doctor, like, if you will, mission trips, where you go and you help with whatever it is in surgery. And I mean, there were some pictures there that they're like, okay, yes, this is true surgery. That's what it looks like. There you go. And you've gone and you've done that, and you have helped to make those trips happen with your skill and with the finances. And because of the fact that you've been, if you will, smart in the way that you've been handling things. And again, I love the analogy that you give in regards to, hey, nothing is perfect, and you need to always be thinking about which way, how am I going to land, and how am I going to adjust for that landing. And because you've been able to do that, you've been able to help people throughout the world in some of the most desperate situations where they've needed surgery, and you've actually gone and you've helped them. And I want to say thank you for that, because that's huge.
I consider those trips, there is some stories, I don't know if we have time to go over, and we don't, but there is some stories in those trips that truly not only humbled me, but gives me the fuel of wanting to make more money, so I can take it and then create events like this where we can go change lives. Nothing, most of us, I can't speak for everyone, but only my experience that I have with people that come to medical field, most, I think, people that come to medical field, they truly want to make a difference. And, along the line, some things change maybe, but I think nothing beats free work. When you're doing something that you're truly giving with no transaction involved, but a smile or a tear. And when that happens, and truly you've given all you had, plus money, plus time, and all you've gotten was a tear or a smile, nothing can replace that. You can't buy that. This is the crazy part about this. And I think most people that go into medical field want that, but I think some countries, including ours, don't allow physicians to be functioning at that level of spiritual connection, and everything becomes, you got to cover your butt with the lawsuits, you got to make sure insurances are okay with what they're paying you. And there's so much garbage involved that connection goes away. And these trips have given me that missing piece. And I some of those photos that you've seen, I probably cried with every single one of those patients.
I have no doubt. And I know that there was one, and we are running out of time, but there was one where you were kind of on your knee down by a little girl that, and there's been so many that you have been involved with their healing or on the road to healing. And that, as far as I am concerned, is truly some of the magic of the story that we are sharing today. And I wanted to make sure to get that out, because it is so important. I know that there are many people that are going to want to know more about you, and that are just like me, where they want to get that story of your book, the book of your life, because your life, may I say, Dr. Freddy Behn, is just, absolutely so inspiring to so many of us. And the fact that they get to see you for your heart today, for your heart. Your heart is one, and that smile, may I just say that smile too? The combo of the two is one that makes people want to know you more, and then be able to take that inspiration that they have felt and go out and serve others. And in the end, that's what this show is all about, is to say, okay, you've been inspired by Dr. Freddy Behn. Now, what are you going to do with it? Let's do something. Let's help make a difference out there, right?
Absolutely. Action is the key. And then, there is this one story I challenge people to go and look at it, but it is actually, I talked about science and things about impossibility. Bumblebees are scientifically proven not to be able to fly. So it's scientifically, in the physics realm, it's proven that based on their wingspan and their body size, they're not supposed to be able to fly, but yet they do. So imagine you live your life when people are telling you it is scientifically proven that this is not a possibility, and you actually accept that garbage, and you sit and you never fly, and you don't produce that beautiful honey. So this is the challenge. It's can you look and say, you know what, great opinion, I'll do whatever it takes. I just have to find one way of making it happen. And that's been the story of my life. That's why in this book, The Impossible Dreams, is literally all of those impossibilities that have been scientifically proven for an individual not to be able to achieve. I figured out a way around it. And again, none of that is because I'm a superhero or superhuman being. I just had the tenaciousness to say, you know what, there's got to be a way to figure this out. There's got to be one way of doing this. And so what if no one has done it? Maybe I'll be the first one. That mindset has allowed me to go one extra day. I mean, even medical school, you don't look at the graduation at the end of the tunnel. You have to just go one day at a time, pass one exam at a time. That's it. And then the next one, if you look at the whole journey, you're like, am I crazy? There's no way I'm going to finish this. That's over a decade, but you just do it one step at a time. And then when you get to the next step, you look, what's the next challenge that I have to solve? And you solve smaller challenges. So, be the bumblebee.
Be the bumblebee. Okay. Be the bumblebee, everyone. Today, on Monday, September the 28th, 2020, our story, Dr. Freddy Behn, is definitely a service hero. And I'm not going to go on and on. I'm going to leave it with your words. Go out and be the bumblebee, because we all can. We can all do what they say we can't do. Oh yeah, we can. Pull it from your toes, believe, and then you will also be able to achieve the impossible dream, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I am going to say thank you for being here today, and everyone, we will be back on Wednesday with another inspiring story.
Thank you, Tamara. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. We're going to go ahead and say adieu, as they say, right?